Have you guys ever come across a deal on an item that is just so good that you just don't even think about it? You just put it in an offer and it gets accepted and then you go get it and then you worry that maybe you got ripped off? Well, it happened to me. It's this computer right here. Okay, so for a little backstory on what this is, I just left work maybe an hour ago, and before I left work, I checked Facebook Marketplace because I usually check Facebook Marketplace just to see if there are any deals available. And I came across this and I simply had to have it because I put an offer in for $280 and the guy accepted. Now, what it is an i5 10600K CPU, a Z490 motherboard, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, a 240mm AIO, and an 850 watt power supply. And it's in this Corsair case. I don't think this is the greatest case on earth, but it is in a very good condition case with ARGB fans. The only thing it needs is a graphics card and a hard drive. $280? Now, it's not uncommon for me to find really good deals on PCs or hardware on Facebook Marketplace, but $280 for this is an absolute bargain. But what really has me concerned is that it's assembled, but it's not really assembled. The power supply is a fully modular power supply, and all the cables are here, but everything else is assembled inside of here, which makes me feel like he took it apart for some reason. Now, generally when it comes to me buying used computers, you don't get the computer with all of the cables in a bag, plus 2 additional fans, and you can't fit these 2 additional fans anywhere inside of this case. It's very awkward how this is all set up and given to me because they've presented all the stuff. I have all the stuff for this PC, but it's not assembled. You know, see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? So it was taken apart, and it was taken apart for a reason, and it really wasn't cleaned. The motherboard looks clean, but the case doesn't look clean. So we're gonna have to investigate this because I am worried that something here doesn't work. It's gotta be something doesn't work. $280, I mean, I would never have taken $280 for this. Maybe the back has answers for me. Whew. You should see, look at that cable management. That is a mess. Holy cow. Why does it have 2, are these both ARGB controllers? It has a Commander Pro and an additional ARGB controller. Interesting. So the best way to figure out if this thing works is to plug it all up. So let's get this power supply out of here. Hopefully, God, this thing looks new. Is this thing there's not even dust on this thing. Let's get cabled up. Now, while I am plugging all this up, I did want to let you guys know that I sold the last Build Up Challenge PC that we put together on the channel for $740. Now, that's a pretty decent amount of profit, and I had $123 left in our bank after putting together that system, so we have $863 of total earned income. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the Build Up Challenge where we build and sell gaming PCs so that we can save up the profits and eventually build an insane computer. And then we give it to one of you. So if you are not subscribed and part of my Discord, now would be the time. Plus, I'm a whole lot of fun. And we do stuff like this all the time. I need a graphics card. I'll be right back. All right, we're gonna use this GTX 980 for the time being, just to test it, make sure this board works, and see if I got ripped off or not. Oh, I forgot, I gotta plug in all the fans. I don't know which fan controller to use. God, I need a studio. There's just no space in this tiny office. So I'm pretty sure that I've got everything plugged in correctly. I mean, if not, we're gonna know in a minute if it's not all plugged in right. Let's just go ahead and turn it on. All right, power supply fan spins. Where's the RGB? This fan wasn't spinning. What's going on with the RGB? We get an image? All right, well, it works. Good sign. The RGB's not working now. Let me see the fans. The top RGB controller's not doing anything? So none of the fans work? I don't understand. I don't think the Commander Pro works. I think there's something wrong with it. it seems like the Commander Pro and the smaller fan controller don't work. They're not controlling any of the fans. They're not changing anything. In fact, we lost power to one of the fans. How did that unplug? Nothing? So let me tell you what I learned here today. I learned that I truly dislike Corsair fans because their RGB header is proprietary and you have to have a Corsair RGB hub in order to control the RGB on these fans. And our RGB controllers, because we have two controllers, don't seem to be working, which makes it so that none of the RGB is gonna work. And that, honestly, that might be why he disassembled this PC, because that would make sense why he gave me 2 additional fans. He might have tried to replace the RGB fans that weren't working, not knowing that the controller was the problem, not the fans. And then he just said, to hell with it. I'm gonna sell it to that guy with the red beard. Now, it isn't an issue for me to change out the fans. I have plenty of fans. It just really sucks that I would have to spend more money on this system to replace the fans in here just because the controller doesn't work. But I mean, we do have to have fully functional ARGB fans. Now, truth be told, this wasn't even supposed to be the PC that we were working on today. I had a completely different game plan in mind with a different system, but I picked this one up and this one really intrigued me. So I don't think that I could have worked on the other PC without knowing if this thing works. We are gonna go ahead and take this thing apart, and I will give these 2 RGB controllers another try. Maybe we can save these fans. If not, it's no big deal. But we're gonna go ahead and take this system apart, we're gonna clean it, we're gonna put it back together, and I can show you the upgrades that we're gonna add to this system. I think once we put this thing back together, we're gonna have a very nice looking system. So let's get started.
Meanwhile.
So while the case is drying, I figured we could go ahead and test the ARGB, try to get it to function, because there's no point in cleaning these fans if we can't get the ARGB to work, because we don't want a PC with 3 fans that have ARGB, but there's 6 fans total. So the AIO in here has to be plugged into the Commander Pro, which is probably why he doesn't use this controller anymore. So we have to use this Commander Pro for at least the AIO. Now I have all the RGB headers attached to the Commander Pro. So once I, jump this to turn it on, all of the RGB should turn on. I just don't know if it's going to. All right, well, let's give it a little test and hope for the best. Still just 3. So it is the Commander Pro. Now let's go ahead and see if we can plug, at least have the Commander Pro running the AIO and use this controller right here to control just the fans. Maybe that'll work. All right, so we've got our other controller here. Let's see if we plug a fan into it, if we get any RGB. No? And it doesn't look like we're getting any RGB. Oh, wait, no, that one works. So the top left one works. And that's it. Great. So the only header on the second RGB hub that works is the top right one. You can go ahead and plug it into here and you see that it fires that fan on, but it will not do that for any of the other ports on here. So unfortunately, we would only be able to run 4 of the 6 fans needed to have full RGB control, which absolutely is why he has 2 extra fans, because he was trying to replace the dead RGB, thinking that it was probably a fan, and instead it is the controller. So unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to use these fans. It's better to know now before I go ahead and clean them and put them back in the case. So we have to switch the fans, but I will keep the fans because I like the Corsair fans, the way they look at least. And if I get another Commander Pro, I will be able to use all of these fans. So unfortunate, but at least we know. Now, back to the cleaning. So out of all the computers that we have put together on the Build Up Challenge, I gotta say it, this one is the easiest one. And it is possible that this could be one of the more profitable systems that we've put together on the Build Up Challenge, because the base PC was only $280. I spent $46 on the SSD, and the fans have a value of $26. So all that's left is the graphics card. Now for the graphics card, I paid $900. I'm gonna tell you, I didn't just get one card though. I got a couple more graphics cards. I got three 3070 Ti's. So that puts the value of this 3070 Ti at $300, because I did pay $300 for each one of these cards from the same individual. I thought it was a pretty good deal. So if you see 3070 Ti's in a couple upcoming videos, that's why. I do not trust these up here. We are putting them back down here. So that actually brings the total cost to build this PC right here to only $652. And for a system that performs like this, $652 is an absolute steal, which is why I'm not gonna sell it for $652. But before we can come up with how much money we are going to try and sell this system for, we do need to test gameplay on it, because how well this system performs in some really popular and very demanding games is definitely going to dictate how much money we can list the PC for. So in testing this PC, I started off with something easy, something like Battlefield 2042 at its max preset. And this PC was getting an average of 114 FPS. It is also important to note that for all game tests that we did on this system, it was at 1440p. Moving right along into God of War at a max preset, we're also getting an amazing quality gameplay with an average of 89 FPS. Now it is time for the more difficult games. I jumped into Black Myth Wukong at a max preset, and we were getting an average of 77 FPS. And for the last game that we tested, I tested out Space Marine 2 at max preset, and we were able to get an average of only 64 FPS but that's a tough game no matter how you slice it. Now, coming up with a price tag for this system is actually pretty difficult because I have sold systems with older hardware for around $900. I mean, for an example, I sold a MATX build in a Johnsbow TK1 case that had an Intel i7 7700 and a 4060, and I sold that system for $900 to somebody who's very happy and plays on that system all the time. So when I see this system with its 10600K and a 3070 Ti, I immediately think that maybe the right play is $1,100. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna list it for $1,100, and we're gonna accept anything over $900, honestly. I think that that's pretty fair. Hopefully we get $1,100, but what do you think? Do you think that's the right price? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on what a list price for this PC would be. I mean, I've seen pre-builts at Walmart sell for way more than $1,100, and they suck compared to this thing. Now that's gonna leave us with only $211 left in our bank, but if we could sell this PC for $1,100, we'd have $1,300. That would be a massive leap in total bank funds, getting us way closer to building your PC, which is exactly where we are headed, and I am very excited to get there because I have a really awesome build design, and I can't wait for you to see it. Now, don't be a stranger, and just remember that no matter where you are in the world, I hope that you are having a fantastic day, and I'm gonna see you right here for the next episode. Beep boop beep, beep boop.